Hello and welcome to the Good Sports Podcast, diving deep into the world of sports and development. My name's David Terrace and I'm joined by fellow Good Sports, Sara Begg and Lee Booth.
Hiya.
Hello.
So as we spoke about on the last episode, this is a Jordan special, as Lee and Sara have just been out in Jordan with the charity Cricket Without Boundaries. So how was the project?
It was great. Loads of new things, lots of new things to take away to challenge, I think, how we see sport for development, and hopefully over the course of the podcast we'll pick up a few of those bits and pieces. It was really great to work with partners that were coming at the problem from completely different angles. So you had UNHCR on one hand, their role is to work with refugees. They were very much sort of problem orientated, dealing with that issue in front of them. Then you've got Right to Play, who come from that sort of sport for development background. Just great to work with them, exchange ideas and see how the two organisations were using sport to change people's lives.
So what were your thoughts, Lee?
Honestly, for a pilot project, I don't think it could have gone any better. So we were just there for a week with Cricket Without Boundaries. And again, I think a big thank you has to go to UNHCR and Right to Play, because without those, we wouldn't have achieved half of what we did in that time. But really amazing experience and totally different to what I'm certainly used to. So I've done lots of projects in sub-Saharan Africa, but to work in the Middle East and all the issues that were there was a real eye-opener. It was traumatic at times. There's a lot going on clearly with the Syrian issue and the Palestinian issue. But most importantly was that as soon as we started the sessions with the children, kids are all the same. So once the bats and the balls were out, everybody was having a good time, having fun and playing the game that we love. What we also came up with while we were out there is a series of interviews with Right to Play, UNHCR and other people who are working on the ground. I think apologies up front. We were mainly focused on delivering the cricket, but we snatched interviews where we could. So the sound quality might not be fantastic on all of them, and you'll certainly hear lots of kids laughing in the background in the ones that we did at the side of the sessions. But first up, we were lucky to have Ed Williams, founder and trustee of Cricket Without Boundaries, on the trip. And here's him explaining how the charity was set up and how we've got to where we are now.
Myself and two friends always wanted to travel from Cairo to Cape Town. And it was when I was 15, 16, I always wanted to do that journey. And then when I was at university, I got my cricket coaching badges, the county that was there. And then my friend and I we merged the two things. We were going to coach cricket from Cairo to Cape Town, and that took 10 years to happen. And then we did our first trip over 7 months, went from Egypt, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, and finished in South Africa. And that was what started the charity. And it was only halfway down through Africa that we understood the sheer scale of the AIDS problem. And when we started out, we read about it and we thought, well, we could talk about it a little bit, but it was only when you saw girls with AIDS being humiliated and ostracised that you understood the power of making sure the girls with AIDS played with everyone, girls and boys. And so it suddenly became as much about breaking down stigma as it does about coaching cricket. And these fantastic people over the years have got involved and taken it to a whole new different level. But it's primarily been in Africa. It's been around people playing together and using cricket to talk about AIDS awareness messages such as abstaining, being faithful, using condoms, testing, treatment. But that's where it started, and it's moved much more beyond that, which is why we're in Jordan today, talking to you now, because we have global ambition. And we know you can use cricket, any sport, but to put a smile on people's faces, to bring people together, and to listen to them as well. So that's the potted history of CWB. It's an idea, it's a bit of a venture, it's a bit of idealism. It's trying to make the world a better place, but from the bottom up.
So that was an interview with Ed Williams, who's founder and trustee of Cricket Without Boundaries. Next up, we've got an interview with Abdul from UNHCR. Abdul was one of the guys who was really heavily involved with the project got involved with every single session, helped facilitate loads of the activities. One of the really amazing human beings that we met while we were in Jordan. This interview took place, we were pretty close to the Syrian border in a small football pitch. Halfway between a session, the boys had just had their activity, the girls were coming on next. So I grabbed a few minutes with him. So in this interview, he talks about the activities that UNHCR are doing from a sports perspective, both in the refugee camps in Jordan, but also in the wider communities where refugees are now living.
So first of all, could you introduce yourselves?
My name is Abdul Qadir. I'm working for UNHCR. I've been located in Zaatari camp and currently working in Mafraq area.
So can you give us a little bit of a sense of what's going on with UNHCR in those regions?
Actually, my unit is called Community-Based Protection, and we work to build the capacities of refugees, youth, women, empower women, focus on their education, provide them with vocational training and different activities, sport activities, recreation activities.
So our listeners are particularly interested in sort of the sports side of things. So let's start with those. Can you just sort of give us a bit of an overview of what's going on from a sports perspective?
Yeah, the sport actually is very important to support traumatized children and to let them go out or forget about their trauma. In the beginning of, for example, in the camp, we engage a lot of children with sport activities, with taekwondo, football, volleyball, table tennis, many different sport activities, and this is support children to engage with their community, and sport generally is very important to protect those children in their life and to build their capacities.
Can you give us some sort of specific examples of things that you've seen that worked really well?
There is a Taekwondo academy in the camp, for example, which is, you can notice the changes and impact on those children who practice the Taekwondo in this academy. For example, there is a girl, her age around 14 or 13 years old, and she now responsible to train 100 children because she received now the black belt in Taekwondo, and she is now trained around 100 children under her responsibility.
And that's fantastic, isn't it, from both a gender empowerment perspective and also just generally from a leadership perspective?
Exactly, this is what we focus on, the gender equality. We try to engage girls with like boys also in different activities. For example, in this Taekwondo academy, the girls and boys, they train on Taekwondo together, and there is no difference between girls and boys there. And even not only in this Taekwondo academy, in all activities that UNHCR conducting inside the camp or outside the camps.
Could you tell us a little bit more about some of those other activities? So we've talked about the sports side of things, but what other things are they doing?
For example, there is the table tennis. We trained a group of youth from the camp on table tennis, how to coach the children. And we have a lot of successful story how the children practice this sport by conducting different or regular tournaments for the children in the camp.
I suppose the advantage of something like table tennis is you don't need a lot of space.
Exactly.
And you can do it inside if you need to.
Yeah, actually also in the camp, the main sport activity they love or they play all the time is football.
Of course.
And it's good to enter different activities or let them know about different sport, not only footballs. For example, the table tennis, taekwondo, unfortunately swimming is not available in the camp, volleyball, and there is gym for women inside the camps, and Brilliant. This is what we try to avail outside the camp in urban areas, especially north of Jordan, where we are now. We are in an area called Ad-Dafyane, or village called Ad-Dafyane, which is nearby the Syrian-Jordanian border, around 4 to 5 kilometers away from the border here. We are here.
And so what's the difference in terms of those sports provisions here compared to the camps?
In the camp, it's easy to reach the children, to invite them to attend the sport activities. But in urban areas, it's a little bit difficult or different, because we will target different groups, different age groups. So it's not easy to reach the people or target people outside the camps.
Yeah, I can imagine as well. It's maybe not so appealing to a lot of big aid agencies, because the impact, the number of people you're going to reach is going to be smaller if you're in a community setting.
Exactly. Actually, we target both community, the host community and the refugees community, and this is to support them to be familiar together, to have activity together, and this will support their integrate between both communities together.
Fantastic. And can you maybe talk a little bit about what we've done today and how you think it might have helped or hindered that?
The cricket is a new sport. They know about it now in this area, Dafiana. They're very excited. Girls excited more than the boys. This is what I noticed. We will start with the girls now, and they excited. They just approached me many times. We need to start. We need to start. The boys, they done their activity and they're very happy with this activity, and they ask if you can come back again, as you see.
Fantastic, good. And can you tell me a little bit about the boys and girls who are in this session?
In this session, we split the boys and girls. There is a specific area for the girls and specific area the boys. We start with the boys. The boys finish their activity now. They will go home. The girls, they've been watching the boys, and they are taking their lunch now, and after that they will start playing cricket.
The boys that we just had, are they both Jordanian and Syrians?
Yeah, actually this is from both communities, from the host community, Jordanian, and from the refugees community, the Syrian refugees here in this area at Dafiana.
And do they do a lot of stuff where they play together?
Actually, they are studying together. They are from the same school, so they attend same classes. They together since the morning. The children, they are together since the morning, studying together, having same teachers, same school. This is very nice actually to notice in this area.
Yeah, it's quite different, isn't it, to other parts of Jordan where you've got separate schooling for Jordanian and Syrian children.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was lovely to see them playing so nicely together.
Yeah, exactly. There is no problem, no conflict, no fight between the boys, especially the boys.
Yeah.
And the girls also the same. Everything very well.
Well, that was a pretty incredible interview from Abdul there. Sarah, what are your kind of key takeaways from that?
The things that in general came away from the work that we did with UNHCR and the stuff that Abdul was talking about there is just the value of play on a more sort of general sense, or sport-based activities in a more general sense. Sometimes we can get really caught up in making sure there's some kind of message or learning outcome that we're trying to achieve. But actually, just the opportunity to do inclusive sport and everyone have an opportunity to do some sport and have a go is actually really important, and sometimes we undervalue that.
So the play is the outcome itself. I think that's a really kind of important message. Lee, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, the other thing that really struck me, and it comes back to this idea of everybody playing and everybody getting chance. One of our main things that we always try and do in Africa is this idea of getting the boys and girls to play together. And for cultural reasons, that was just a no-no out there. And he was just really keen to stress the importance that the girls get the equal opportunities that the boys get. So everything was timed almost down to the minute to make sure that whatever slot of time the boys got, the girls got exactly the same. And the benefits that brought, a lot of the boys, but especially the girls, didn't get a chance to play a lot of sport. And it was just that idea of letting them have a go, and everybody seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, that is so important. As you said, we've kind of seen the benefit of that in Africa. So it's great to see that there. Now we have another interview. Lee, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're going to hear next?
Yeah, so just to set the scene of this one. So this was an interview we conducted after a big session we'd done in Baka camp, which was a camp for the Palestinians. So a camp that was set up in 1947 as a tented community, which has grown now into a massive camp. One of the strangest and best sessions I've ever done. So this was this is the Right to Play guys. So we've got 3 of the Right to Play delivery team who will introduce themselves shortly. But again, amazing session on a rooftop in the camp. We did some coach education first with some of their delivery team, and then had 130 children running around this rooftop. We're really lucky we were there when it coincided with what they call play days that they have every month. So there was a sound system, there was a DJ. So it was a really sort of vibrant session that we hijacked with a bit of cricket.
So we'll just introduce ourselves. Okay. So my name's Ed Williams. I'm one of the founders of CWB and a trustee of CWB.
My name is Hazem Shabaki. I'm project officer at Right to Play Jordan.
My name is Ahmed Hannoun. I'm a field facilitator with Right to Play Jordan.
My name is Diam Baydin. I'm a field facilitator at Right to Play Jordan.
So what I'd like to ask first is, what is Right to Play's mission in Jordan?
Actually, we're here in Jordan from 2006. We start in Palestinian camps. Now we are working with we work with multitask here in the camps. We work with education, we work with life skills, we work with governmental schools, Jordanian UNRWA schools, and we work with different organizations in Jordan and in camps. We work with Palestinian refugees and Syrian refugees.
Exactly. Just like Hazem said, like the idea of the organization as it started, it was like sports for development. It opened in Jordan, like started to work in Jordan since 2006. Its main focus was like sports for development, was like to do sports and like how to teach youth like their life skills through sports. In the beginning of 2010, we started to be involved in education with something called play-based learning. So to make the schools more interesting for students, especially in the Palestinian refugee camps and like in the governmental schools, like how to make each lesson in the class to be very interesting. You've seen someone like with the last visit you did with us. We have been doing this since 2011, and we started doing this. We work all around the country. We work in 5 different places in the country. We work in Mafraq, Zarqa, Amman, Irbid, and Aqaba as well. Mostly, just like we said, it's either sports development with life skills or education or many different.
So what sports do you tend to use in Jordan?
Mainly we're focusing on we have a whole project focusing on football and basically on our activities or during I mean like the play days as we've seen today. Mainly life skills activities or games that supports and enhance the team building with children and mainly the life skills.
So it sounds like there are 3 areas: Jordanian, Syrian and Palestinian. Yes. What are the challenges that young Jordanians face, do you think?
Just like any other child that's facing, like Jordan is a country that needs a lot of sports facilities that we should provide them. So like for them to have a place to play football or to play any kind of sports, it doesn't matter what kind of sports, it's like we have much less resources to do that. So most children, either Jordanian, Palestinian or Syrian, like facing the challenges of playing in the street. So the main challenge is them having access to sports facilities just for them to learn any sports without even them paying. So that's the main challenge. As well, like the whole education system in Jordan, it's either with Palestinians or Jordanians or even Syrians needs some attention as well. So we do trainings for everyone. Most of the schools, especially governmental schools now, they are doing in the morning Jordanian shift and the afternoon Syrian shift. So we do trainings for both teachers so it can reflect on both nationalities, and we're working with Palestinians.
And Ahmed, what were the challenges you've had to overcome with persuading schools to adopt your way of doing the right to play?
Yeah, of course. Like first of all, like the teachers with change, they always resistance. Like, change does not happen in one day. But the main challenges were like teachers has a lot of experience working and doing the same thing for 25 years, for 25. So when you come to them with a new idea, you just say like, I've been doing this for 25. How can you tell me that everything I've done is wrong? So you have to be clear with them that it's everything they have done, it's not wrong, but it should change now because times have changed. like what's happening before now, it cannot be happening now. So that's why we try to persuade them. So many challenges is like teachers are not very welcoming of the idea of paper study because it takes them a lot of time just to, how can I say it, like understand it.
Hasim, what can you tell me a little bit about the area we are now?
We are actually here in Baga camp. Maybe Baga camp start from 1947, from the war between the Arab and Israel. They starting the camp with tent, a lot of tent. The government, the UNHCR, asked for approval to start building just a regular building because the tent, they are not supporting everything, and they are not safe for those families, and the families, they are going bigger and bigger and bigger. So they start, maybe the people here, I think, let's say 260,000. They are living here. They're not allowed to work outside. They supposed to have approval to work outside. Not all of them will get approvals. They're supposed to work here. And now they're facing a lot of challenges. Sometimes here, because they don't have a lot of money, they don't know where to work. They don't know anything. A lot of people, they will change, let's say, do something wrong because they think they are going good way. Maybe you will find here a lot of drug dealer and those things, you know. Like any poor community, you will face a lot of problem if you see a lot of people, they don't work or something like this.
And what are the challenges young people face in this camp?
Actually, the main challenge is the poverty. Actually, the people here are really, really poor. And in addition to that, they don't understand why they have to go to schools. I mean, like the education. Why it's important to them. Unfortunately, because of their poor families, actually they pull them out of the school to support them. I mean, like to work. And you can find actually children, young kids actually working in the streets in this area. Additionally, as my colleague said, they can't work outside of the camp unless they have approval from the government. From the government. So this is one of the main challenges, that this community can't go out. I mean, like to work or to even to buy houses in Jordan, around Jordan. And as my colleague said before, this is a place where the drug dealers actually in Jordan, it's really strong, and it's not really easy for the cops to come inside the camp, because as you've seen, the streets, they're really small, and people here are all ganging together against any outsider. It's a little bit harsh to live in such an area, especially with kids. They raise in this area, and they do drugs. Children here are doing drugs. They're 13, 14 years old, maybe younger. They start using drugs and alcohol and all this stuff. And the thing is, as I've said, the parents, they're really busy making money and somehow, and they don't pay attention to their kids, and they're always on the streets. They don't they don't raise them well. They don't keep them inside the house to keep them away from these dangerous people. I mean, like the drug dealers, maybe.
And what about this school? Can you describe where we are, this school?
Yes, the school, we have, let's say, 4 schools are together. They are for the camps. There are 2 shifts. The 2 shifts, they are for the Palestinian refugees. They don't allow anyone, just the Palestinian refugees, to enter the school. The school, each shift, I think 1,020 for each shift, and those schools we are passing by. Do you remember them?
I do.
Yes, there are 4 schools, and they use the same facilities and they use the same bathrooms. They need a lot of cleaning. They need a lot of take care of the building and these things. It's kind of hard. The building will, let's say, serve 2,500 people. This is a large number to control for each school.
And what about today? What have we just done here?
Today is one of Right to Play's activities. Like we do, it was done by one of our implementing partners. Like what we did in the beginning of, we have a partner here. It's called Province Program Center. What we did is capacity building for this partner. We give them trainings on like how to do as Right to Play, mini Right to Play. You can say it, like to keep our idea going on. Even if like Right to Play does not keep doing this, they have to. Like there's someone to keep the idea going on. So one of what we had did is like something called Play Day. We do it for the children after the coaches are done with being trained. Okay, all of these coaches reflect what they learned through the workshops on this day. Usually it's between 100 to 200 children that happens. We try to get as many as we can, as you can see, because Hazem has described and my friend Dia, it's a poor area, so we try to widen our beneficiary list so everyone can have fun at least for this day. As you can see, all the children were having fun and like we have singing and stuff like this. So that's usually our play days.
And where do you get the coaches from? Where are we saw
from
lots
the local
of
community?
coaches.
From the local community, there is a lot of females or males in this community who are willing to do a lot of things, but they don't have the opportunity. So there is a lot of we can say local CBOs, country-based organizations, which are open here to try to give opportunities to these kind of coaches. So we try to give them trainings and make their capacities just to have a better chance in the future, like to improve their life skills and like how they can talk, how they can at least do interviews and stuff like this, just like we're doing sports or like reflecting their learning with children.
And just to describe what happened today, well, how would you describe what happened today, just for the people listening? Describe what you would see here.
What I saw today is like almost 130 child. We're learning a sports. It was cricket. We tried to make this play day cricket theme. I think 130 child. We can say 120 of them learned how to cooperate, how to be working together, having fun at least, and like how to do things together just by playing together without them knowing. So that's the idea of it. So sports teaches children these kind of life skills just by doing sports without even them knowing it, because everyone needs to work together to achieve one goal.
Okay, so another very powerful interview there, and I guess traditionally sports seen as a bit of a kind of nice to have and quite fluffy, but actually it's doing some really kind of core fundamental work in very, very poor and very difficult conditions. So I guess that's really encouraging and a real testament to the work that Right to Play are doing. Lee, what were your kind of takeaways from the interview?
The education side of thing for me, it was how sort of embedded they were working with the local schools and how they were finding some resistance to the change from the school teachers. And they were clearly really passionate about how the method of using play to educate would be beneficial. And we're facing challenges, not only the obvious challenges of, like you said, the poverty, the drug dealers, parents keeping the children away from school, but actually the biggest form of resistance they were getting was from the teachers themselves and the fact that they couldn't get them to see the benefits. Or I think not to see the benefits, they couldn't get them to change the ways that they were stuck in, really. Sarah, how did you find the session?
One of the most surreal experiences of my life, really, in that we were on this rooftop, people looking over us, doing loads and loads of female leaders in that session, learning how to play. We got the cricket skills out really early. We had people bowling from the get-go, and then just tons of energy in that main session. And I think, we've talked about the sort of challenges, and we talked on while we were there, didn't we, about how that camp isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and the difficulty that they were referencing leaving the camp means that you need to have activities that are in that location that are giving meaning and joy to people's lives. So it was interesting as well at the end when they were talking about the sort of life skills that you could develop, particularly through sport, the things that come to play immediately are, cooperation, teamwork, but you also talk about things like resilience. And when you're looking at young people who are in these circumstances where they can't leave that environment, and we're not going to be able to use sport to necessarily change that environment, developing those life skills that mean they're better able to operate in that environment, survive in that environment, thrive in that environment is a really critical role that sport can play.
So I really like the focus on resilience there, which is something that Paul Kagamo, who we spoke to on the last episode, the chief exec of American organisation Up to a Sport, spoke about. And it's becoming increasingly important in the circle of work as well. So a slightly intangible thing, resilience, but clearly a very, very important quality for success. So really great to hear Right to Play's focus on it.
So we've actually got an interview with Elias Ayub, who's the Lebanon and Jordan country director from Right to Play. And he talks a little bit more about how sport can develop those life skills and how Right to Play, having for a while turned their back almost on conventional sports, are returning to it because they recognise those life skills that it can develop.
So we started out as a sports for development organization more so than an education organization or anything else. So that was always our main focus, is how to get maximize the use of sports to be able to change, make a change in the lives of children, working on specific skills that they might need related to life skills. And so we've been trying to diversify a bit. The sports that we've mainly been progressing are football and basketball and volleyball. These are the main three. Whereas now we're starting to think about how we diversify. So in Lebanon, for example, a couple of years ago, we did some skateboarding in the Palestinian refugee camps.
I think I saw the videos of it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
With girls skateboarding.
And now we're partnering with Skatistan. I don't know if you guys heard about Skatistan. To do something, hopefully, in one of the camps, build a girls' skateboarding school as well in one of the camps. We're looking into athletics. So athletics for me is the base for a lot of the other sports that you might play. And so for us in our sports programming, we targeted before more of the adolescents age group versus the more of the children. And what we realized is that for children that are 6 to 12, it's important to actually diversify the sports as much as possible, so that when they get to 13, they're able to actually pick and choose what it is that they want to continue in. And that's a valuable thing for them to be, to try as many things as possible between 6 and 12. So this made us look outside of the traditional sports that we usually target. And cricket, I would say, is probably one of those sports that we'd be interested in. We're looking at rugby as well. So we're looking at a variety of different sports to see how we can work with experts like yourselves to be able to sort of merge methodologies so that we can work with children not just on the short term, but also do some longer term programming as well. I mean, the model that we usually follow is that we understand is Right to Play. We're not experts in cricket, and we're not even experts in football or in basketball, but we have a certain methodology. So in a lot of the projects that we're doing, so we've got a partnership with the Dutch Football Federation, for example, and their coaches come in and they train their coaches on more of the technicalities, but they also have a life skills program. So they do their program with the coaches, and they give them certification from KNUB, from the Dutch Football Federation. And then where we come in is we give our training on our sports for development training and life skills training. And then as Right to Play, we have a presence inside the country to be able to do that monitoring and follow up with the coaches for as long as the project goes, and even beyond that, if we find a good strategy to maintain that contact with the coaches beyond just the funding cycle. And so that's the complementarity between the expertise that you might have in the UK versus what we're able to do here in Jordan as well. So for me, when I think of a possible future collaboration, I would think about it in that way, where you guys would come in, we would get some training for as long as we can give, and for as many coaches as we can give, and then have Right to Play sort of set the mechanisms to follow up on that.
As we've mentioned earlier in the podcast, it became very apparent as the project progressed that equal opportunities for girls was really important to the communities that we were working in. And actually, we had a really great opportunity to meet up with a couple of girls who are involved in the Equal Playing Fields initiative. They hiked up Kilimanjaro with a group of international footballers and played the world's highest football match. And I actually happened to meet with them while they were in Tanzania. Promised that one day, if it was in Jordan, we'd catch up. And turns out we did. They got involved with some of our delivery, and then we managed to grab an interview with them talking about the work that they're now doing in Jordan to use football as a platform for promoting gender equality. I'm joined by two great ladies who are from Jordan. And guys, can you introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is Yasmin Shabsur. I am 22 years old from Jordan. I'm a national team football player and I work with GIZ.
Hi guys, my name is Haneen Khatib. I'm 23 years old. Played football for 7 years professionally in my life. I still play, but not related to any football or any club or any national team. I'm now currently working with Madrasati, an initiative called My School, as sport.
What do you think are the biggest challenges facing girls in Jordan?
It's actually about you can say it's about the mentality, maybe, because everyone thinks about football as it's only a male's game, and it's very popular in Jordan and in the world, but as a male's game. So how come a girl can play football? When I started playing football, it was so hard, and there's a lot of people that came to me shouting that we are like tomboys. People came to my father telling them that why your girl's playing football, just let her stop. She's a shame. Even in school, maybe some of the teachers, they don't like girls playing football because I think it's the mentality, and which I don't even understand why. Because we're not doing anything wrong. We're playing sports. We're playing with our friends. It's good for our health. We're playing a game and it's leaving a good impact. So in the communities and us. So I think the challenges maybe be also the transportation to the fields. So a girl can't get in a taxi by herself alone. It's actually these kinds of challenges. And we face like a lot of times that we have to play. We had a game in the stadium for the national team, and no one comes and support because they think that we're not good enough and we're gonna lose or we're gonna be ashamed. But actually how we changed that is by our results, by everyone started to notice that we can play and we are winning and we're good enough. And that was the first time in the under 17s Women's World Cup, the opening game. It was the first time that our international stadium was fully booked.
Wow.
Yes, it was. That was the point where everyone knew that girls can play here in Jordan. Because it was never that stadium was never fully booked. Even like the Clasico here in Jordan, never fully booked. But because now people are started to understand that girls can play, and you can come with your family, watch the game. The father, the mother, the daughter, everyone can come to these games and watch the games, watch their daughter play, watch the girls play. Because it's a proud moment to see the girls playing and fighting for the name of the country that you're living in.
I think that's really interesting how you've sort of talked about the visibility increasing. Can you talk a little bit more about what you've been doing in Jordan to tackle the challenges around girls playing football? And in particular, can you explain about Jordan Quest, how it came to be, what you guys did?
Of course. So after Kilimanjaro, it was a joke. Actually, we were on the mountain. We played the game. We went down because it took us 2 days to go down from Kilimanjaro. So after the game, when we went down to the camp, we were sitting tired, so happy about what we just achieved. And I was sitting next to Haneen in front of the co-founders, and it was a joke. I was like, dude, we just played the highest altitude football match ever played in the history. Come to Jordan. We have the lowest place on earth. Just come and play. Let's play the lowest now. And that's what happened actually. When we came back from Kilimanjaro, we started working. We started trying. Yeah, we started to think about how to bring the girls and leave an impact. Because Kilimanjaro, it was a challenge. It was to climb a mountain. And since we don't have mountains in Jordan, but we have a lot of things that we can challenge ourselves with. And that's when we came back from Kilimanjaro, the prince called us and he wanted to meet us because he was like so proud of what we did. And when we told him about we want to bring equal playing field to Jordan, the first thing that he said that he want us to do something for the local people, for the community, for all the girls around lives in Jordan. And the first thing that he said is that he built a pitch, the football pitch that we played in Ghor Safi, and this is the first football pitch ever in the Dead Sea. He called it equal playing field, and after we played the game, we handed it over to the local people down in the Ghor Safi so they can use it, they can play in, because this is the only field that they have now in Ghor Safi. So it's open to the people, it's open to the girls and boys, they can go in and play. And about the Jordan Quest, we wanted to, let's say, put or highlight that girls can play football. We wanted to make sure that equal playing field here in Jordan will leave an impact, will leave a print about changing the mentality of understanding that girls can play football. So it was, we decided at the end to make it as a 12 days hike, trekking in all around Jordan, and doing football clinics in different locations in Jordan. So we did four clinics, football clinics, and we mean by football clinics is that it's a full day of games, playing football, teaching young girls basic football skills, teaching them the rules, teaching them how to be a goalkeeper, and also combining that with the social skill. So we teach them how to pass and control, and also we teach them how to communicate. Because if you want to pass a ball to your friend, you have to call her name. So that's communication. Also, as a goalkeeper, we teach them how to catch the ball, how to hold a ball like a goalkeeper, and also self-confidence, because you are standing and you're protecting your goal. So you need to have self-confidence in yourself. So this is what we call a football clinic. And every football clinic that we did here in Jordan, we did one in Jarash, we did one in Petra, Wadi Ram, and Ghor Safi. All of them, the total of the girls that we trained in these clinics, about 700 girls, which is very amazing in 4 clinics to teach those girls these numbers. And some of the girls, they came to us, they told us that they are very happy because this is the first time they go out of their house and play outside. So as a Jordanian player, as a co-organizer for Equal Playing Field, this was the most important and epic thing for the girls, is seeing them smiling. Yeah, and it was a big challenge to convince the local people there that we're gonna take your daughter to play football, and if you want, just come and watch her. She's not doing anything wrong. And especially the Wadi Ram clinic, we did not even expect having 50 girls, because it's a very closed place there in Wadi Ram. And the people there are so hard, and they just have their tradition, their culture, that it does not accept girls going out and playing football. So the maximum number we were expecting is 50 girls, and it turned out to be 276 girls in the pitch in Wadi Ram. That was the most amazing thing. I think it's a great opportunity for all these kids and girls that we trained, is that there's a lot of, and they are now international players here in Jordan, and they are teaching you how to play football. So imagine the experience, imagine the opportunity that you get as a girl. Because I and Haneen, we started playing football at that age, like them. We started playing like them. So this is a huge opportunity, and this is a huge chance for them to see, and to let them see that you are a girl and you can play football. And look around you, you have international players from all around the world, and they're football players, and they're here to teach you how to play football. So this is the most amazing impact that we put and left here in Jordan, in the Jordan Quest. And of course, ending the Jordan Quest with playing the lowest altitude football match in history in Ghor Safi.
Yeah, you guys are now double record holders, aren't you? Which is pretty incredible. No one can take that away from you. I don't think anyone else will ever hold both of those records at the same time. You guys are going to be pretty unique in that respect. It's amazing to hear about your experience of Jordan Quest. What do you hope the sort of long-term impact is going to be beyond the end of the quest itself?
Well, letting people we've give opportunities for them to play. Actually, what we want is every girl who was there just to build on that and start picking any sport that she finds is good for her, it fits her, any sport that she finds herself in it, and start playing from here. We absolutely believe in sports impact it has on the character of yourself and for the environment and the place you live in. Hopefully that we can establish some football clubs for the girls over there. Actually, in less than half an hour, yes, Erin and I was planning to do some monthly, we tried to do a weekly training for traveling for Warsaw, which is almost 3 hours by car going there, and just to run one football clinic, just to make sure that the girls that they got the chance for once, but absolutely they're gonna give it for 3 or 4 times. And we actually wants to make organizations go there and explore the environments over there, and we want them to do something for it. So I think GIZ would be happy to do something. Madrasati, Reclaim Childhood. I think we've already opened eyes on that areas and the needs of these girls, and hopefully they can start from here.
That's a really interesting point about pulling on sort of different networks of organisations. Thank you guys so much for that interview. It's been really interesting to speak to you, and I'm sure we will catch up with you again soon, because I'd love to hear about what you're doing on an individual basis at some point as well.
And thank you so much, and it was so great to see you again.
Throughout the project, we also had Aisha. Aisha's another footballer who'd flown over from Kuwait especially to help out on the project. Was a real fantastic asset for the team, coming from the same cultural background, and faced a lot of the same barriers that the girls out there were facing. Here's a quick interview with her that we did, discussing that background and how she started first playing football.
To what extent does those girls having the opportunity to play make a difference from a sort of gender equality perspective?
Absolutely. I guess today there was something that we broke for them. You know why? Because you remember when we told them, come on, let's dance? What did they say? They was like, dance? No. Because like it's a gender issue. We girls, we don't dance. But like when it was like, come on, yalla what? Let's the chicken one. All of them, they felt happy. They want to do this. But because of the culture in the Middle East, they can't do this. But today, they did it. They forget about those gender issues and you know, I don't know what you call it, but this is like
almost like restrictions.
Yes, instruction of Middle East people. But they broke it today. They forget about it while playing. They forget about all of those things. So they start dancing and playing. Awooga, forgetting about that. We are girls. We can't do this. No. We are all equal. So this is that was for me especially. That was my main point, to get those gender issues, because I'm from Middle East. I know well how we suffer from these gender issues. I know very well. So I felt so happy because they forget about it while playing. They forget about what they learn, they forget everything. They start dancing and playing like we're all one person.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think it helps as well that obviously, like you say, you are a Middle Eastern woman, and so they could see you were there leading the session.
Yes.
I could be that person leading the session.
Yes, and as well I told them, you know, when we were talking about the worries, I told them, I'm just one of you. When I was a child, I love soccer, like I love soccer, okay? But I couldn't play soccer because of the gender issues. So, but now look at me, I'm playing. I'm a soccer player, I'm a national team player. I didn't care what people say, I wanted to do the same. Come on, yalla, let's broke the board, let's dance, let's play. So I got the point I want. I don't know how to say this. The point I want to tell them, it's reached. They get it. They get the point.
So one of the activities Cricket Without Boundaries does is get participants to write down their worries or challenges on a whiteboard. And we use that information to better understand the needs of the group that we're working with. But then we also incorporate it into a game where we get participants to chuck tennis balls as hard as they possibly can at those whiteboards to try and knock those challenges out of their lives. This little clip here is Aisha just talking through her experience of delivering that activity and some of the worries and challenges that came up in the group that we were working with.
I find it really hard, really sadly, what I heard from the girls, okay. The most worries they are, or issues they're having, that they are unacceptable here. This is what they're saying, that we feel different, but we are different than the other children's because we don't have our full families like they do. Some of them, they lost members of their family, so their worries is that we cannot protect ourselves, we cannot defend ourselves. Okay, people all around, like while we're in school, there's racist, racist. You call it racist?
Yeah.
Yes, they suffering from racist, and this is yes, and also there was like all the time when we are out, we're hearing bad words saying to us, bad things people saying to us. So we cannot go over this thing. We cannot get into the other children's because we are unacceptable except we are with Syrian people. So other people, they are not helping us, so we're not improving. Second of all, they talk about the education. They told me that they are like 9 and 10 years old. They don't know how to read and write because when they moved from Syria to Jordan, they supposed to be in a primary school, but they didn't have this primary. They didn't go to primary school. Now they are 10 years old. They are in primary 1 and primary 2, and they told me that we're not having a serious education. So we're not having homeworks. We're not writing. We're not. One of them, she told me that we're not learning English at all. So I don't know anything. So she was like, I'm worried about my education. So I'm just 10 years old now, and I don't know how to write my name in English or also in Arabic. They just started to learn how to write names. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were suffering from racism. They're suffering from education. And yes, then because they are small. So they didn't get my question directly. I told them, tell me your worries about the future. This is what we mean, right? But they start to talk about what they lost. So I didn't like to stop them, because they are trying to share things they have. So I didn't try to stop them. They start talking to me about what they lost, what Bashar al-Assad did to them, lost their family, lost their houses. One of them, she said a fact thing. She said, she told me that now I feel jealous from all the other Jordanian kids. So she said, I cannot get over this jealousy feelings because they have everything, I have nothing. They have a good family, have a good education, have everything, I have nothing. So she told me I'm suffering from jealousy, and that makes me hate other kids. And I cannot deal or play with them because I don't like them, because I feel jealous,
Yeah.
She told me I'm suffering from grief. She said I'm suffering from grief after what happened to me in my country. So I'm always feeling afraid from everyone. This girl, she told me that what happened to me taught me violence. So we are. She's being violence to other kids, to everyone, because she said that this is what I get out of. This is khalas, when I had this problems in Syria, this is what I get, that I have to be, I have to fight, I have to be a negative person to get my rights, And this is the wrong way. We don't want them to do this. So I was asking them, how do you deal with the troubles? How do you deal with those people who talk bad to you, Jordanian or whatever? So they took this bad habit. No, it's not habit. The way they treat them, they are treating people here back, So this is the third problem, and this is a big thing because if you don't know how to get your rights in a good or positive way or in the right way, you're going to be a criminal, at the end.
Yeah.
So this is what she was telling me, that this is what I turned to. I turned to be a tough child, tough children, all of them, most of them actually. So this is what the worries they are talking about, and their problems they talk about.
What was your experience of that moment? How did that make you feel? What did you think about when you were there?
That really makes me feel bad, of course. I feel really sad, okay? I feel really sad for that because no one of us, I don't want my children to be that way, so I didn't like what I see, but I tried to talk to them and I tried to give them some of my experience when I was a child, you know. So I have some bad experience. So I was telling them that I do have some bad. It's not bad as your bad experience, but I have bad experience. I was talking to them how to get over those experience, you know.
Yeah.
This is what happened. I told them hit the board, and what happened that they broke all the boards. They go directly and hit the balls. So they get all this negative feelings out of them, and they start laughing and start feeling happy. So then I went back to them and told them, who did you hit? They said, Bashar. Who did you hit? This bad education. Who did you hit? One of them said, my bad teacher who don't give me homeworks. And she started laughing. Okay?
Yeah.
So I felt very good after they doing that. So you get the bad negative feeling out of you, you know.
Yeah.
So this is what that makes me feel back good. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like tough to begin with, isn't it? To get those negative stories out.
Yes, they get all those negative feelings and negative stories out of them, and just broke it. Boom, boom, boom. Broke all those feelings.
Yeah.
And then start to play and laugh again like nothing happened. This is a very good feeling.
I think so too. Did you get the feeling that the experience of that in general was positive for those girls, despite the fact that they had to talk about these negative emotions?
Absolutely yes, because some of them was at the beginning there was a quiet, they don't want to talk, it's like keeping those negative feelings inside. So when you start telling those negative feelings, talk about it get out of you, and then when you move and you broke those feelings that you wrote, makes you feel way better, make you feel very positive. You have a positive way of thinking. So yes, absolutely yes.
Thanks. And that's the feeling I get too. It's just whether or not we can find a way to prove that that's made them feel better. But certainly from looking at it, it felt like it did, didn't it?
So that was the final interview of the Jordan special. Big thanks to Lee and Sarah for putting that all together. Any kind of final reflections, Sarah, on what we've heard?
For me, the big sort of takeaway is actually that last piece from Aisha. It was pretty emotional actually recording that with her, because it was on the same day that we'd run the session, and we were both pretty wrung out by that whole experience, because it was really clear that those girls were facing sort of challenges on two fronts. First, because of their gender, and second, because of their status as refugees. And I'm just really hopeful to think that the signs are there that sport is doing its small part to help those girls on both of those fronts.
There's more info on the project and the partners that we're involved with on the blog. We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions, so please do get in touch with us via Twitter @GoodSportsCast,
or via email info@goodsportscast.org.uk,
or follow the blog at goodsportscast.org.uk.
Big thank you for listening, and goodbye from the Good Sports.
Bye.
Bye.